everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks College Football Huddle. How's everybody doing? As you can see by my attire, I am not doing entirely well tonight, but we'll do the best that we can. Welcome everybody watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all the groups that allow us to share this later, all of you watching there. You see some of our favorites always scrolling across the bottom. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities. Greg Rawlings doesn't necessarily fit this particular show with the America's Pastime, but he does have other groups that fit. And he's a great admin, as is John, one of the best, two of the best out there. Flo and Can over at, still got some music playing here, eh? Flo and Can over at the Bottom Line Sports. They'll be back doing their podcast here soon, as Flo is going to be back in the States soon. They do their podcasting pretty much on Let's Talk Sports. We thank them for the relationship that we have with them, and Ken Krause over at Golf Bud Sports of all sorts, and so many, many others. College football related, podcast related, sports in general related, baseball related when it fits. If I'm sharing a show, there's content here that applies to you. So if I share it with, South Florida Bulls group, you're going to have some conversation. It might not be an hour's worth, but it'll be there. Ralph Williams, quick shout out to him over at RW Media, specifically the Sports Corner. He does every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern with Smoking Jim Frazier. I've been a guest on that show and always enjoyed myself. Check out Ralph's stuff. Ralph's also got a new gig doing some DJing on a Thursday, I believe. Spinning the Records. Thumbs up to DDH and Mac McGrath. Off we go. Guys, what a week again. Last week, 4 top 10 teams go down. 8 of the top 25 go down. Included in this carnage, the number 2 ranked loses to Louisville. Marco Cristobal finds a way to do this every year. Still playoff bound in my mind. Don't control their own destiny in the ACC, though. LSU losing to Vanderbilt. Yeah, Vanderbilt, a home favorite. Vanderbilt ranked in the top 10 for the first time since I don't know when, if ever. I believe they won against a top 10 team at home for the first time in 50 years or 70 years. Pavia is going to be he's sneaking up in the Heisman race right now. Who else? Ole Miss goes down in flames again at Georgia. It's not a good situation. Who else went down last week in the top 25? Let's just take a quick look. I'm going to rely on this. I'm going to go back to my scoreboard. Minnesota tramples Nebraska, gets in the top 25, starts to look like they're getting some momentum, gone. Ohio State rolls. Luke Fickell in big trouble at Wisconsin. He's lost back-to-back by like 71-0 at home to Iowa and Ohio State. No doubt in my mind, Ohio State took their foot off the gas in this game. Let me go through this quickly, and I'll get back to you guys. Your comments. I think Ohio State took their foot off the gas because of Luke Fickell and his ties back to Ohio State. Indiana rolls again against Michigan State. Not a lot on that schedule going out. Undefeated. Both these teams are probably going to meet in the Big Ten championship game undefeated unless Michigan finds a way to beat Ohio State. A&M gets a squeaker over Arkansas. Does move up, though. Georgia beats number 5 Ole Miss. Alabama over Tennessee handily. Arizona State beats previously never trailing in the entire game all year, Texas Tech. Get your quarterback back. It makes a big difference. Sam Leavitt played very well. Rutgers gets hammered by Oregon. Vanderbilt, as we said, beats LSU at home. Duke, a loser to Georgia Tech, really good. Georgia Tech ready to jump into that top 10. Notre Dame wins again. Notre Dame wins out there in the playoff. Oklahoma rebounds off a bad Red River rivalry loss, wins at South Carolina. Mateer, listen, you want to rip Arch Manning, which we'll talk about in a second, just rip John Mateer too. He wasn't very good in a win. 18 to 26, 150 and a touchdown. I know he's got a bad hand. Arch is young. Whatever. BYU, a big win in the Holy War. This was a great game to watch. I know some people who were at the game, BYU season ticket holders. Janae, if you're out there, great game. I called her and let her know I was betting BYU that night, and God bless them. They won as home dogs. Why they were a dog, I have no idea. Auburn with another tough loss, 4 in a row now. Hugh Freeze definitely on that hot seat as well. They lose to Missouri. Another tough goal line call for Auburn. Going against them the other way this time. They call it a touchdown. Virginia wins again against Washington State. South Florida, I think, solidly in charge of the group of 5 pick. Got to win that American, though. It's not a done deal. They're the only ranked group of 5 team. Navy still lurking out there. Memphis with a bad loss this week to UAB. And by the way, Chris Mortensen's son, Alex, the great Chris Mortensen from ESPN NFL Insider days, the late, great Chris Mortensen. His son, Alex, is the interim coach, took over for Trent Dilfer. Texas, as I said, beats Kentucky 16-13. And Cincinnati, watch out. On with a bullet in the Big 12. There's some scores from last week. Let's get to some comments here. Good evening, Michael. Good to have you with us. John Gonzalez, Hurricanes, man. They'll rebound. They'll be fine. But here's the problem, John. They win out. They're in the playoff. They can get in that large bid. I think only them and Georgia Tech in the ACC have any shot at that large bid. Georgia Tech likely has to make the playoff and lose. But the problem is, if they aren't losing to Miami, are they going to take 3 teams? Miami does not control their own destiny, unfortunately. I do think they make the playoff. Ty Simpson to the Jets. You know something? If you're taking, if you're, God bless you, John. I've said this forever. Taking quarterbacks number 1 or in the top 10 is a risky gamble that isn't worth it for any NFL team. The odds are so lopsided that it will fail. It works out like 8% of the time that they win a Super Bowl. And Ty Simpson, I will say, though, on the flip side, a huge apology to. I ripped him big time heading into the season. What 5th-year senior who has never played starts for the first time as a 5th-year senior if you're any good? Because you've left. In today's age, you've left, gone played somewhere else, or won the job where you are. Well, I was wrong. He's the best quarterback in the country. And he's better than, at least right now, he's better than our guy, Carson Beck. Horrible game by Carson Beck last week. You can't play worse than that. The interception he throws at the end of the game when you've got a field goal to tie the game in the bag is inexcusable. Ball's tipped. Doesn't matter. If the ball wasn't tipped, it would have been run for a touchdown. Interception for a touchdown. Ohio State does look unbeatable, I will tell you. Indiana's probably got a couple better wins. But I think Ohio State repeats, as we said on the show previously. I think John had also commented the same thing. Fun, crazy, unpredictable season. Great stuff for new, but maddening for picks and betting. Oh, I can tell you it's maddening for betting. I normally clean up in college. I'm getting my ass kicked. I'm catching up on Sundays. That's not what I normally do. Yeah. You know, Rutgers, John, I've said this a lot of times on this show and other shows that, you know, I don't know, maybe academically, I don't know Rutgers' academic profile that well. I think it's a good, decent school. I mean, and academics is important in the Big Ten. This is a team that fits the American Conference a whole lot better. And every A couple times a decade, they might compete for a championship in the American. Silly for them to be in a Big Ten. But then the Big Ten stretching from New Jersey to, UCLA or Los Angeles is ridiculous as well, right? So Notre Dame says, enter the juggernaut. Good morning or good afternoon, I should say, or good evening. Notre Dame's going to be in the playoff. They've got to win out. That's all they have to do. And they've gotten by the roughest part of their schedule now. This win over USC. This was a better game. USC gave them a good game for 3 quarters into the fourth quarter. Some bad play calling by Lincoln Riley. But Notre Dame pretty much they outplay UCLA. So, and who they got left? Boston College at Navy. I don't know where they're playing that game. I know it's not at Annapolis. It's probably in Philadelphia or in Washington someplace. Somebody might know that. They can certainly share it. They've got them coming up in a couple of weeks. Pitt, Syracuse, Stanford. They're going to be favored in every one of those games, and they'll be heavy favorites in all those games. They're not losing. Another great show tonight with an abrupt. Yeah, I have to apologize because, I have to. I apologize. I always apologize to you guys when I'm sharing that show. I have to end it as I'm leaving or a few minutes before I leave so that I can make sure this one starts. Facebook has been very screwy. Even with that, I have the show set up to feed to Facebook, right? Automatically. But if I don't go in and take my TGI Sports Talk page out and then put it back in just before the show starts, it won't start. Mondays, I did, and sometimes it's not even guaranteed then. Facebook is just very screwy. But it's where we get all of our views, really. I mean, on Twitter and YouTube, if we get, 40, 50, 60 views to a show, that's a lot. Here we're getting, 2,000. So, so I apologize, Danny, but that anytime it's the Wednesday night show and the Sunday morning show, I've got to do the same thing. So I apologize. So anyway. And then when I do start this show, I sit and I wait on watching my phone to make sure it starts on TGI Sports Talk. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't see the show at all. And maybe that'd be a good thing. Chris said John Candy showed great promise as a high school and college football player until career-ending leg injury in a game squashed all his future hopes. My dyslexia had me reading this. He had an injury in a squash game. I did not know that. Where did he play football in Canada? He's a Canadian, right, John Candy? Pretty sure. GQ John Gonzalez, you better get it. You're better getting Joe Namath without pantyhose. Indiana does look good. Indiana doesn't have much left on the regular season except for Penn State, which again is in disarray. More coaches fired this week too, by the way. We'll get into that a little bit. Who's Indiana got left here? UCLA at home. Oh, UCLA at home. 5% chance, Bo said that they had to win in this game. I don't know if it's that much. They've done very well under Skipper, the interim coach. Won 3 in a row, playing much better football, but they're not beating Indiana. They're at Maryland, they're at Penn State, they're at Wisconsin, they're at Purdue. This team isn't losing in the regular season. Unless somehow Penn State turns everything around. Big Ten want a New York market is there a big New York market for Rutgers though, Michael? East Rutherford, New Jersey? I get it. Rutgers should have said no. There's money. You're still going to get a cut of, bowl games and playoff dollars, TV contracts. So that's why Rutgers is there. Rutgers is there for the money. Rutgers does not think they can compete in the Big Ten. Nobody thinks that. They're there for the money. If they want to win and have a football legacy, then go to the American Conference and you can compete. But with the money, We talked about your college football picks before. You need to wrap your head in a towel and become Swanee Keith, throw a goldfish bowl. Oh, Chris. I did have 8 wins in the ESPN random selector pool. And I did win 2 out of 3 games in a bet. I won 5 out of 6 last week in the cigar bowl box. So 2 out of 3 in the pros, 3 for 3 in the NFL. So we're starting to eat into our deficit. Long way to go. Same week this week, then we're in the plus column. Nobody in New Jersey gives a damn about Rutgers football or New York. John's got a great point. New York doesn't care, Michael. Okay, because New Jersey doesn't even care. You know, a few years during the first Greg Schiano tenure there, you know, Rutgers had a good run for a couple of years. I want to say they even approached top 10 ranking at one point before the bottom falling out a bit. I remember them getting hammered by Louisville. They might have still been in the Big East had to be gone by then, right? No. I'm not sure, John. Maybe you remember when Shadow was there the first time. Were they still in the Big East? Was the Big East still a thing? But they had won some big games and had been ranked fairly highly, and then they got blown out by Louisville, I believe, on a Thursday night game. Yeah, maybe no. Maybe I had that wrong. I might have looked at that wrong, actually. I'm pretty sure they're at Navy, though. Let me take another look at that, Chris. Hang on. Not going to get it that way. Notre Dame. Oh, my bad. They've got Navy at home. Thank you, Michael, for straightening me out. We do make a lot of mistakes here. On a baseball note, Blue Jays sweep Dodgers. I'll take all your action on that, but John. I'm no Dodger fan. That team's pretty good. Blue Jays are good. Blue Jays are a good team. I'm not going to think anything wrong, anything bad about them. I do think they'll scratch a couple of games out here. I think we'll get to 6. I just don't think they got the pitching to stay with them, and I don't know if the hitting is consistent enough. So, back on college football, we talked about teams losing 8 out of top 25. We got a brand new top 20. Oh, we had something to do this week. A college coach gets fired after a win. Oh, my God. Billy Napier finally gets sacked. They put him out of his misery at Florida. They've already started a very extensive search, which the top 2 names on it are Lane Kiffin and who's the other guy? Steve Spurrier actually was touting the praises of Kiffin and Drinkwitz in Missouri. Are you trying to? You're just trolling, Danny. Oh God. So anyway, another coach goes down. Another coach gets a big buyout. You know, $30 million, whatever it is for Napier. You've got some other coaches that are dangling. Hugh Freeze, who's got about a $50 million buyout. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. I don't know what Freeze's buyout is. Mike Norvell has about a $50 million buyout at Florida State. They have gone in the tank since beating Alabama and then a couple of little sisters of the poor U's. They've lost 4 straight now, including a couple inexcusable losses. And I think Brian Kelly, again, he's got to have $60 million, I would think, left on his contract. All the coaches getting fired, are there guys that are going to be getting rehired right away? I think about that guy's getting fired. James Franklin has made it clear he wants to coach, and he will coach next year. I think. He's not coaching Florida, I don't think. I think that'd be a tough sell in Florida right now. I've been very hard on James Franklin, but again, his complete body of work is not that bad. My entire problem with James Franklin is he can't win big games. I mean, Florida right now isn't getting into big games. So maybe James Franklin isn't a bad hire there. He knows the SEC. He's had some success there. I think James Franklin would be better suited right now, either sitting out a year, letting this dust settle on this mess of why he got fired and when he got fired, or taking a Stanford job. I think Stanford is a great spot for him. It's a program that has been down for a while, but was really good for a decade under Harbaugh and David Shaw afterwards. It sits academically similar to what Vanderbilt was in the SEC. It's playing in the ACC, so he's got a Power 4 job. It's a conference that will be winnable with a path to the college football playoff in a short period of time, the way you can turn things around now. And he did. If I'm going to give him some props on his way out the door, after I beat the crap up on him for the last half dozen years, he restored Penn State to national prominence, which they had fallen away from. I mean, even before the whole Jim Sandusky thing, Penn State football had really fallen on semi-hard times, and certainly was, circling the drain following this whole mess with Sandusky and Paterno's firing and all this other stuff. So he did a good job. After Bill O'Brien was in there first, we have to remember, and started to turn around. Can't give all the credit to Franklin. But Bill O'Brien's best record, I think, was 7-5. And in a couple of years, Franklin had them, winning lots of games, but just not beating Ohio State, not beating Michigan, not beating anybody who was in a top 5, top 10, top 20. Can only go so far. He probably took this team as far as he can. No, I don't see him falling that far, John. Unless he wants to, which you're not going to. I mean, they're one of these schools. Remember, you got schools like Virginia Tech, Stanford. Who else has fired coaches? Oregon State. They fall over backwards if they could get James Franklin to coach there. He's not going to end up at Temple. I don't think going to end up at Temple or Fresno State. Don't think. Any chance, Jimbo? I don't know. To John's comment about James Franklin, I think there's a better chance that Jimbo Fisher resurfaces at a Fresno State than James Franklin, quite frankly. And it's one man's opinion, right, against another man's opinion. John's a pretty savvy guy as well. Or I should say John's a pretty savvy guy. But I don't think Jimbo might. Remember, he's got to stop these. And the way I understand these buyouts, if he takes a job, that cuts out into his buyout money. So maybe he enjoys playing golf and getting paid his $78 million he was getting paid to go away. Whatever that equates to yearly. $12 million, I think. You may not want to coach for 4 and have to work for part of that 12 million. I do think Franklin is a good fit at Stanford. I really do. Otis Smith turned 60 today, came out of Southern Missouri. I don't know why I thought he played at maybe it was Otis Thorpe. Played at Providence, I thought. College that produced Al Beecham. Otis later won a Super Bowl. Oh, I'm thinking of a different Otis Smith. Sorry. Happy birthday, Otis. 60 years old. Who do you win that Super Bowl with, Chris? Let's take a look around the. Let's take a quick look at the polls, and we'll take a look around this. What actually is there any other news? Steve Spurrier Jr. has been asked to help DJ Langway with the Gator program. Interesting story there, kind of. Norvell vows to get it right. Now, he got the dreaded vote of confidence from his AD here the other day, but it came with a caveat that we're not firing Mike Norvell, and we stand strongly behind Mike Norvell for the rest of the season, and we will reevaluate the entire program at its conclusion. Mike, I would think you'd be better off running about a 4 or 5 game winning streak right now. Tyson, the wide receiver for ASU, is out again with a hamstring. We saw how much they missed him last year in the playoff. He was missing. That's Levitt's number 1 receiver out there. Aggies get the SEC's first $50,000 fine for faking injury. Why do we have to fake injuries? And again, we have a rule now that says the clock has to stop if a guy falls down. After, what is it? After the ball is set, I think. No sympathy for the Devils. They're also fined for rushing the field. And also you cannot throw tacos shells at, what are we doing? Just the no fun league now? You can't throw tacos after the first score. For Texas Tech, they've only been doing it for decades. What's wrong with it? Have a little fun. Danny Fuller wants Bad Bunny to coach UCLA. He'd probably do as well as Deshaun Foster. I'm sure. Deshaun Foster's got a pretty good reputation as a position coach. That's why he got this job in the first place. It's probably where he's going to go back. Maybe he gets another shot 20 years from now. But I think Deshaun Foster was put in a really bad position here with no chance to succeed. I don't disagree with Saban's comments to what Michael's talking about. Saban had said these high-profile firings are much because of this pay-for-play era that we're in, right? The NIL, the transfer portal, all the reasons that Nick Saban walked away in the first place. But the thing is, if you're going to give James Franklin had 12 years. So this isn't Jimbo Fisher who got 5 or whatever he got at A&M. This isn't Brian Kelly who might get 4 and out at LSU possibly. Mel Tucker, a little bit different circumstances, but the team did stink as well as him having some off the field allegations. He's fired after 2. So all of these high profile firings aren't the same. I mean, Franklin's had plenty of time to get this team to the next level and hasn't done. Billy Napier got, and he said some of this on game day last week too, when he kind of defended James Franklin and thought it was ridiculous that he got fired. Billy Napier, though, he got 3+ seasons. That's the thing with NIL and portal. We expect teams to turn it around in a day, in a year. But I don't remember a year where this many coaches have been fired midseason. We had Napier, we had Franklin, we had Pittman, Gundy, Deshaun Foster we mentioned, Brett Pry. Troy Taylor got fired before the season at Stanford, as we know. The Oregon State coach, whose name's eluding me, has been fired. Trent Dilfer got fired at UAB. That's like almost 10 coaches, guys, have gotten fired during the season. Yeah, we'll get more into this stuff on Friday's MLB update, but the Angels did hire Kurt Suzuki after the Pujols talks broke down. It does look like Pujols might get a job somewhere else, but maybe they should hire Pujols to coach the football team. Maybe Skipper gets a job full time. I mean, if he goes, let's say, and again, this is the danger with interim coaches, right? So I got a question for you, Danny. That's okay. Don't worry. So Tim Skipper, I think is his name, right? Let's just say he upsets Indiana. It's not going to happen, but let's just say he upsets Indiana. Let me find UCLA's record. They're 3-4, right? Let's just say, and I want your opinion, Dan, and anybody's opinion. Because, again, one of the dangers of firing a coach is that the interim will come in and set unreal expectations for the following year based on a smaller sample size of work. Now, he did beat Penn State. That's pretty good. Beat Michigan State, beat Maryland. If he were to beat Indiana, beat Nebraska, lose to Ohio State, nothing wrong with that. They've got a tough schedule, man. But if he beats Washington and USC, and let's just say, I don't know, he goes 1, 2, 3. So even if he got to 6-6, if he's 7-5 and bowl eligible, does he have to be considered for the full-time job? And is that a good thing? I don't know that much about him, quite frankly. I don't think it shouldn't preclude a nationwide search for a head coach, right? I mean, if he goes out and beats Indiana and Ohio State, guess what? He's going to have the job, but that's not happening. Let's say that's his only 2 losses, and he beats Nebraska. He beats Washington. He beats USC. That would leave him 6-6, right? That's probably the most likely scenario. Should we keep him? I mean, he went, of that 6-6, he went 6-2. I know, this is to me one of the dangers. Dick Vermeil, the best head coach I love Dick Vermeil. I liked, God, he's passed away now. Who was a coach after Vermeil who was there forever? Donahue. I like Donahue a lot myself. I like him, and Vermeil would be my top 2 guys. In the entire Ontario University Football League, Wilfrid Laurier, London, Ontario, near Windsor, Detroit border, leads the charge. 8-0. Toronto in the cellar at 1-7. Tremendous. These teams have been around since the 1800s. Terry Donahue, thank you so much. We don't know that much about Canadian college football. I know we've talked about it several times. We don't get any. The only football we ever hear about is the CFL. Junior leagues, we hear about hockey. That's it. Never football. Skipper and Newhouse should both be hired, no doubt. Would you? I mean, Danny, so to be clear, are you saying that right now, or if what I said happens? Is there something needs to happen more than what's already happened for Skipper and Neuheisel to be kept? I forget about Neuheisel. I mean, he'll stay probably if Skipper stays. Or does he have to get bowl eligible? What does he have to do? And Terry Donahue's a guy I was thinking. I love Terry Donahue a lot. Late, great Terry Donahue. But Dick Vermeil, also good coach. Spent very little time at UCLA. He did win a Rose Bowl, upsetting Ohio State, I believe, when he won before he got hired by the Eagles. John says one rumor he has heard is that if John Harbaugh gets fired by the Ravens, he goes to Penn State. That's interesting. I mean, I would say at face value, maybe it doesn't make sense, especially given what's happened with Belichick and the disaster at North Carolina. He's got no history, and I don't believe he's got any history. I know he has none as a head coach. I don't know what kind of coaching history John Harbaugh might have in the college without looking it up. Well, Penn State has a history of this. They went to Bill O'Brien when he was a Patriots offensive coordinator right after the Paterno firing. If you remember, Paterno's son coached the team as an interim basis after Joe got fired, and they hired Bill O'Brien, who I think was there 2 years. So they do have a history of hiring NFL coaches. I just wonder if the Belichick thing hasn't really soured schools on going in that direction. And I don't know if John Harbaugh, I don't know. Is that to me, Penn State feels like a no-win situation, right? You're going to go there and you're going to get 1 year leash, and you're going to be expected to be in the playoff and compete for a national championship in year 2. That's it. So anything short of winning a national championship, well, maybe beating UCLA, or I'm sorry, beating Ohio State and Michigan would be a step in the right direction. So maybe it's not anything short of a national championship, but it's damn close. And it just feels like a no-win situation up there. I don't know who's going there. I love Matt Rule. I just don't think Matt Rule's the right guy. I don't know. I got to think on this a little bit more. I haven't heard that rumor, John, but it's an interesting one for sure. Tommy Prothro was a start of good coaches at UCLA. He was there, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Danny, just before Dick Vermeil, correct? You do bring Canadian football from all contents. And not is that how you spell that? I wouldn't know, believe me. You could misspell that. That could be spelled correct or wrong, and I would have no idea. Innocuous situation. I don't think there's an L in innocuous. It could be silent. I don't have a lot of English education, as you can tell, listening to me talk. He brings that information as I bite down on a parliament and stick a train ticket in my head. You are the best, Chris. I got to tell you. And look at it. Sometimes this mind works, right? Prothro, Vermeil, Donahue. And then what do you got here? 65 to 70, Tommy Prothro was the head coach. I think Vermeil had 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say 3 years. I could be wrong there. Looking at the top 25. What do we got? 7:39. Guys, at 8:30. At 8:30 tonight, I'll be on live with Robert Butler on Sports Scopes. I can't share it because he doesn't have it set up similar to the other shows where I can just quickly say, okay, share these destinations. So I don't know how Robert Butler, I don't know how Robert does it. It's the way he's got his, I think he uses StreamYard. Pretty sure it's a StreamYard link I get. But in any event, a top 25, the AP top 25. We only got a couple more weeks of this poll left, and we'll be getting into the college playoff poll, which is really the important one. Read Michael Fuller. So I mixed up. Danny and Michael are now a couple. Sorry. Michael Dighton Edwards column on the NCAA polling from a few weeks back. Ohio State number 1 with 60 first place votes, pulling a little bit away. Indiana moves into that number 2 spot with Miami's loss. Miami falls all the way to 9. Inexcusable. Got to win that game. Even as badly as they played, that game should have been in overtime, and win or lose, Carson Beck can't throw that interception. Number 3, Texas A&M. Up 1, Alabama up 2 to number 4. Georgia up 4 places to 5. I keep wanting to write Georgia off, and they keep finding ways to win games. God bless Kirby Smart. Oregon 6-1, up 2 spots. Georgia Tech up 5 to number 7. As I said, number 10 top 10 worthy. Georgia Tech Brett Key, a great coach. Watch out for Brett Key when we're talking about Florida and when we're talking about some of these other openings. Don't know that Penn State's going to go that direction. He's a Southern guy. But watch out in some of these other jobs that are open or come open. Brent Key moving up the ladder a little bit. Done a great job at Georgia Tech. Ole Miss loses at Georgia, as we said, drops to number 8. Miami, we talked about at 9. Vanderbilt, up 7 spots. Tough loss at Alabama 2 weeks ago. Comes back favored at home against LSU with a big victory. Pavia is going to get talked about in the Heisman as we go forward. BYU is at number 11. Great win last week at Utah. 7-0. They have yet to lose in the Big 12 since they joined. Notre Dame all the way up to 12, slowly, methodically making their way back, just like last year. Oklahoma, 6-1, 13. Texas Tech trailed for the first time all year before finally losing. Falls to 14, down 7 spots. Missouri up to number 15, up 1 spot. Virginia continues to climb up to 16. Tennessee drops 6 spots to 17. South Florida, the only ranked, let me just double check that before I say it, the only ranked group of 5 team, they're in the driver's seat. Big game against Memphis this week. Louisville's at 19 after being unrated last week. LSU drops 10 spots out of the top 10 all the way to 20 with that loss to Vanderbilt. Cincinnati up 3 to 21. Texas down 1. And moving into the top 25, Illinois, Arizona State, Michigan dropping out. USC, Memphis, Utah, and Nebraska. USC's just on the outside of this top 25. 74-75. Who's in between Prothro and Vermeil? Homer Jones? No, it's not Homer Jones. Matt Patricia doing a great job, by the way. I would think, maybe he'll get some looks. I don't know if it'd be a mistake or not. I mean, he had his shot as a coach. Some guys are just great coordinators. My hunch says Matt Patricia is just a great defensive coordinator. He's doing great things at Ohio State. He'll probably get interviews, maybe, but he's not going to start, I don't think, at a power. If he goes the head coach route, I don't know that he even wants to, quite frankly. I used to have a lot of insight on Matt Patricia because I know somebody who went to school with him, played football with him at RPI, which is just almost down the street here. Played football there. He's literally a rocket scientist. He's a aerospace engineer. It didn't go well in Detroit. A lot of guys fail the first time. I get that. Some guys are just great coordinators. See Josh McDaniel. See some other guys. I don't think Matt Patricia is going to get his first college job is going to be in a Power 4 conference. I don't think. At least not the higher levels of that. I would think he'd have to start like where you talked about, John, before with Franklin at the Fresno State Temple level. But who knows? I mean, the way things are now, anything can happen. But one thing that is absolutely 100% true, Matt Patricia has done one of the best coaching jobs in college football this year with that Ohio State defense. They're not giving up points to anybody. What have they given up? I don't even know how many points they've given up. I mean, have they given up 30 points all year? 16, 22, 25, 41 points. That's all they've given up all year long. 41 points. One team has scored double digits against them. That was Illinois in a blowout. Teams with pretty good offenses in, well, Texas. Washington has a pretty good offense. They dismantled Minnesota. And Luke Fickell, by the way, another guy in big trouble. Going to be out of here pretty soon, unfortunately. So that's the top 25. Willie Taylor, Harrison Frost, Luke Lennon, however you say that, I believe were the last college players to go straight to the UFL. Does anybody go to the NFL? Are there great Canadian college players that have made it in the NFL, Chris? Our Canadian correspondent, Chris F. Grave, can find that information if anybody can. What's the bubble watch look like, right? I'll give you my bubble. Whoops. Hold on, I got to find my standings. College football standings, American Conference. Navy sitting at top 4-0, but South Florida, Tulane, all undefeated. Memphis can get themselves back into conversation, at least with a win against South Florida. Tulane, who's Tulane got this week? Who's Tulane playing in the American? Where's the big games in the American this week? We said South Florida. Oops, I'm on the wrong week. South Florida will get Memphis. Really? Why couldn't you just stay where I was? South Florida gets Memphis. Memphis can try to get themselves back in this. Navy's got Florida Atlantic, and looks like Tulane has a bye this week. So they'll continue to try to get back in this race. Probably a 3-team race. Memphis still with a chance to get to the championship game and be. See, here's the thing. You've got to win your conference, and you've got to be the highest ranked team outside of the Power Four to win your conference. I don't believe any other teams are alive there. In the ACC, Georgia Tech, Virginia, SMU, all undefeated. Georgia Tech with 4 wins, the other with 3. Pittsburgh, Duke, Louisville, California, and Miami, all with 1 loss. Miami doesn't play Georgia Tech, doesn't play Virginia, I don't believe. They don't play the teams in front of them. They don't control their own destiny. So Georgia Tech has probably got worse. I think right today, if we started today, Miami would be in the playoff. But we don't start today. Big 12, BYU, Cincinnati, both 4-0. Big surprises again. Cincinnati, huge surprise this year. Playing great offense. They run the ball tremendously. Playing good defense. BYU strong on all parts of the football. You know, they've been great since last year. They were picked to finish last in the Big 12 last year. Nearly won the conference. Arizona State, Texas Tech, Houston with a big game this weekend. Let's look at the ACC. I didn't look. We'll look at the schedule. We can look at the schedule as we go here. Let me go back to the ACC for a second. ACC big matchups this week. Syracuse has got Texas Tech. That's not going to matter. NC State, Pittsburgh won't matter. Miami gets Stanford. That will be a big bounce back win for Miami at home. And Louisville looking not to let down against I don't remember who. Oh, Boston College. In the Big 12, you got BYU going to Iowa State, who's the bloom is off that rose, right? Baylor and Cincinnati. Houston goes to Arizona State. Houston 6-1. Hasn't really played anybody, though. We're going to find out how good they are this week. next conference to take a look at. I'll get back to your comments in just a second. The Big Ten. Ohio State and Indiana sitting at 4-0 each. One-loss teams, the Ducks, surprisingly Northwestern, USC, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, and UCLA. 3-1 in conference. Realistically, this is a 3-team race to get to the playoff. I think, again, if the playoffs started today, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon are all in. USC, Iowa, maybe even Michigan still in play. Just my gut feeling. We'll get to the pool, too, in a second before we're gone here for the day. Let me look at let's look at the Big Ten and what they got this weekend. UCLA goes to Indiana, as we said. Northwestern goes to Nebraska. Big game for Northwestern. Rutgers and Purdue, there's your broken windshield special. Illinois goes to Washington. Minnesota, Iowa. Army's got a bye this week. I don't know why that just popped into my head. Minnesota's got Iowa. Wisconsin looking to get shut out for the third game in a row as they travel to Oregon. And Michigan State in a big rivalry game. Give Michigan State a puncher's chance at home in this game. Conference USA, no challenger here for a group of 5 slot. Jacksonville and Kennesaw State 3-0. Western Kentucky 4-1. So those teams are wide open. In the independents, you only got 2, of course. Notre Dame right now would be outside probably looking in if it started today, but it does not. They will win out and get into the playoff. Mid-American not going to be in play in the group of 5. Buffalo, Miami, Western Michigan, all tied for top at 3-0. Mountain West, are they still alive here? I don't think so. I really thought UNLV was their shot, and UNLV got absolutely embarrassed on the blue field in Boise State last week. So the winner of this conference probably, unless some strange stuff happens in the American, will be in a runner-up position likely for that group of 5 bid. The Pac-12, again, there will be no winner. Southeast Conference, God, who knows? I mean, we get 6 teams in here. Right now, Texas A&M and Alabama both 4-0. Georgia, 4-1. Only 1 loss for the Rebels, 1 loss for the Longhorns, 1 loss for Missouri, 1 loss for Sooners. Vanderbilt and LSU has 2 losses. I mean, if we started today, A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Missouri, or Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt, all in contention for a playoff spot. Won't all get in, but, this – I've seen projections where they've had as many as 6 teams in the SEC, in the field from the SEC for the playoff. I don't like that, but it is what it is. Who's playing out here? Ole Miss and Oklahoma, big matchup this week. John Mateer needs to bounce back. It's funny how he's got 7. He's a Heisman contender. 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. What's Arch Manning done, by the way? So everybody tells me how bad Arch Manning is. I'm not saying he's good, by the way. Well, why am I hearing how bad John Mateer is? Where are you, Alan? Where are you? Give me some stats here. Come on. Want some stats. His career stat. He's got 12 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this year. 60% completion rate. He stinks, but John Mateer is a Heisman Trophy candidate. I'm sorry, I'm missing the logic. Somebody help me. I'm not saying Arch Manning should be a Heisman Trophy candidate. Do not mix my words up. Arch Manning has not played to the expectations. He will get better. Will John Batir? This is not his first time playing. So tired of people just jump on people. And in the Sun Belt, James Madison's 6-1. If they were undefeated, they'd still be in this conversation probably for the group of 5. Don't think they had any votes. Did they have any votes? No vote. I got 6 votes. So I wouldn't count James Madison 100% out of this race yet. They've got to win. It's the only division or the only conference left with 2 divisions, by the way. They would have to win their conference championship against most likely Troy or Southern Mississippi. Good stuff. What do we got here? Michael Rennie Dorner is the man, no doubt, the writer of all writers. Who? Who the hell is that? Catch Michael Dighton Edwards writings on TGI Sports Talk, and I share them with some of my favorite groups, obviously, as well. Oh, I guess I already went there. I must have missed Danny's comment there about... I didn't say I don't either, and I didn't say anybody here did. But before he hurt his hand, and I know I'm going to hear, oh, he hurt his hand. Well, everybody's got to play through injuries. Before he hurt his hand, he was like, the second choice behind Dante Moore. Klubnik, 3-year starter. Alar out for the year now, but a 3-year starter. Both of them were playing worse than Arch Manning. 3-year starters. But Arch Manning will never amount to anything. Threw 90 passes before this year, guys. Give him a chance. Curtis Rourke throwing for Indiana is a good Canadian boy. Rourke, I believe... wasn't he the quarterback last year? And I may be wrong. I don't know why. Yeah, no, they've got the leader for Indiana is Mendoza, who's likely the front runner for the Heisman right this minute. Rourke was last year's guy. Good college quarterback. But I didn't know he was a Canadian boy. That's good. So how many guys have – so a lot of guys coming south of the border to play college football. It's a good thing. I see Simpson – I think Mendoza and Simpson are probably – Simpson's probably the front runner. I'll give you that one. I think Mendoza is very close. Sayin is probably in the mix as well. I think the running back from Missouri still I would leave – the door open for him. And I think Pavia, one more performance like last week, which was very, very good and Heisman worthy. I didn't like a little bit of his antics. I don't mind the Heisman pose, but I didn't like the Johnny Manziel thing. I love this kid's moxie. He's small. He's a fire plug. But he played really, really good football at most weeks. He didn't play great against Vanderbilt, and he should never have spoken up before that game. So I think we're on the same page pretty much. Moore did look like trash against Indiana, pretty much took himself out. Still listed, in the top 6 or so, I think, in most of the betting sites, John. But unless he has and he played great against Penn State, but again, is that win as good as we thought it was before? After Penn State, I would have said Dante Moore was the front runner, but that Indiana game just really killed him for sure. We're on the same page there. Let me get up. Let's go to the ESPN random picks of the week. Let's review last week in the leaders. Everybody had struggled for about more than a month probably. 4 and 5 wins, we're leading the pack here. But this week, Alan Peralez with a perfect 10 for 10. Congratulations, Alan. Great job. 10 wins for him. Rick Sherlock with 9. Also, Scott Kobe getting out of his doldrums with 9 wins. Beamer Ball, Pesky UCLA, the generic ESPN fan who we don't know, and myself all with 8. Michael with 7. J-Train with 6. And if you ain't cheating, had 4 for the season. Beamer Ball, Neil Bush still leads with 46. Allen is 1 behind with 45. Rick is another 1 behind with 44. J-Train, after a tough starts, up to 43. By the way, none of these are tremendous records when we're not picking with any spread. But Michael gets to within 5 of the lead at 41. I'm with 6 behind at 40, along with Danny Fuller. That generic ESPN guy, again, has 38. If you ain't cheating, 38. Paul has 33. Paul didn't make any picks last week, which does not help you get to the leaderboard. And after that, Scott has not picked the entire season, so he can't really count him. He said he would catch us all, though, if I'm not mistaken. Where are you, Scott Kobe? I'll be back to your comments in just a second. Here's my picks. I don't know what the random games are. Ole Miss at Oklahoma. I'm going to pick Ole Miss to bounce back here. I like the young kid quarterback, the kid they got from Ferris State, who last week played in front of more people than he played in his entire career at Ferris State in one game, obviously. I like him to rebound, and with Mateer playing as badly as he is, I think Oklahoma is about to take a bit of a dive. South Florida, I think, is much, I don't know about much better. I think they're a better team. I think they're good enough to win here against Memphis. Their only loss, remember, is to Miami, a pretty significant loss, but they have beaten Florida. They have beaten Boise State, who just beat up on UNLV. They beat them handily. I like South Florida's resume a little bit better than Memphis. Nice win against Arkansas at home, but Arkansas did a good job of giving that game to them as well. Memphis, a good team. South Florida, a good team. I think South Florida takes control here in that American Conference and the lead for that bid. Vanderbilt is going to get Missouri, a really good Missouri team. That Vandy's riding the wave, man. They're playing at home again. Great environment there right now. Tavia playing some great quarterback, a great leader on this team. I'm going to take Vanderbilt to win once again. BYU is going to travel to Iowa State, excuse me. Tough matchup for them, but I like BYU to win this game and continue their undefeated run in the Big 12. I'm going to take Washington over Illinois. Washington and Jed Finch playing really good football, playing against better competition they've lost against, though. I like them at home against, I think, probably a very fairly even matched opponent in Illinois. Minnesota is going to travel to Iowa. Iowa, one loss in the Big Ten, not out of this whole thing, scoring some points all of a sudden. I think Minnesota loses on the road. Minnesota plays well at home, not so good on the road. I'll take Kirk Ferentz and Iowa here. San Diego State at Fresno State. Well, they always throw an interesting game in here. I'll take Fresno State just because they're at home. Good Mountain West matchup, though. Baylor will go to Cincinnati. Cincinnati is just rolling right now. Baylor's been very up and down, not playing much defense. I think Cincinnati rolls to about 45 points and wins this game. Texas A&M will go to LSU. I like Texas A&M. And listen, I don't think this will be a high-scoring affair. LSU's not playing good offense. Their defense is much improved, but unfortunately their offense has retreated as much as their defense has moved forward. And we got a FCS game in here this week. North Dakota State against South Dakota State, both 7-0. I'm going to take the Jackrabbits at home in this game. against the grain here a little bit, but that'll be my picks for the pool this week. So there you go. What else we got here? Comments? Arch Manning will be a first-round draft pick. Don't be fooled. He will flourish in the NFL. He's been a disappointment this season, but he's still a blue chipper. John, we're on the same page. And I will add that he will not be in this year's draft. He will be in next year's draft because he will return to Texas to play one more year, get some seasoning, and maybe move into the first 10 picks. Arch Manning's still the real deal. Don't be fooled at the fact that he's inexperienced, playing his first real. And again, yes, he's got 7 games under his belt now, but we've got 3-year starters who have played so much worse, but we want to throw Arch Manning under the bus for little reason other than the fact that he's Arch Manning. Not you, John, necessarily, but again, I hear it from enough places, social media, even some of the talking heads around, He didn't create the hype. You did. Tough schedule this week. Tough schedule last week, I think. So great job by Allen going 10-0 last week. I got to give him props. What didn't I touch on here? We talked about coaches. Napier's out. What other games didn't I touch on? What do we got for the military institutes, by the way, this week? I think Army's got a bye. It seems like there's a lot more buys now. Navy, as I said, gets Florida Atlantic. Navy's still tied for first, 6-0 overall, 4-0 in American. That Navy-Notre Dame game is shaping up to be maybe an interesting game once we get to that here in a couple of weeks. November 8th, that game will be played. Air Force plays nobody. Air Force also has a bye this week. So we have one military institute playing this weekend. Colorado State, by the way, also fired their coach. I didn't mention that. Jay Norvell got fired this past week as well. He did get fired off a loss to Hawaii. Billy Napier gets fired off a win, which is very interesting. But down they go. Did I not mention any of these other games I found interesting? We talked about Ole Miss. We talked about South Florida, Alabama, South Carolina. South Carolina, Shane Bieber had again talked about how Shane Bieber. Shane Bieber. He's a pitcher. Shane Beamer talked again about his love for Virginia Tech because his dad coached there, but he's not interested in the job. South Carolina, very talented team, dangerous week to week, but hasn't been able to get over the hump. Very disappointing season, I think, for them and Lonaris Sellers. We talked about Missouri, BYU going to Iowa State. We talked about Washington, Illinois, Texas, Mississippi State. Interesting matchup here. Mississippi State, a very improved team in the SEC. Texas not playing great football. Got to be on the watch in this game. Michigan State. Michael, thoughts? Can Michigan State stay in this game? What's the line in this game? I hate betting road favorites in these rivalry games. 14.5, man. That seems like a lot. 0-4, though. Michigan State is in the Big Ten. 3-4 overall. I'm not sure they can do it. Tennessee goes to Kentucky, trying to rebound from that bad loss to Alabama last week. And Texas A&M and LSU we talked about. Tulane off. Really, the big matchup for the group of 5 is really going to be Tulane and Mississippi. Or Memphis. Excuse me. I think they will too as well, John. But there's always that possibility because of the way they play that, a different style offense than pretty much anybody else in college football outside Army. If this game was on the road, I would give Navy a fighting chance. But I think the Fighting Irish, and yes, they are still the Fighting Irish. You can do the politically correct thing and take the hand, the fists away from the leprechaun and put Lucky Charms in his hands if you like, but they're still the Fighting Irish. God forbid. Can we offend nobody anymore? I mean, Michigan like. They probably will. I can't put money on this team though. Bryce Underwood too inconsistent. They aren't consistent enough running the game, or their top runners hurt. Still a good football team. Still with an outside chance in the Big Ten, especially if they run the table. And part of running the table obviously is beating Ohio State. So they got some incentive to win big, and style points are important for teams like Michigan this time of year. So they probably will win big, but my money will not be anywhere near this team. And LSU, you think LSU beats A&M? Been very disappointed in LSU. Could happen. Again, a tough place to play at night. A&M's been very, very good. Remember, they've gone on the road and beat Notre Dame this year. I don't see the evidence that Nussmeier is going to step up his game, and that offense is going to step up its game and play consistent, move the chains football. I mean, last week against Vanderbilt, they were fortunate. They had a couple of big plays, busted plays that turned into either touchdowns or led to touchdowns, or they got blown out of here. They didn't play consistent, move the chain football, and they haven't all year, which is a shame because the defense – for 3 years, we've talked about the defense catching up to the offense with Brian Kelly's program. And now that it does, the offense can't catch up to the defense. So Nussmeier, another guy who's struggled this year, right? What's his numbers? See if they come up when I just go to the SEC. I throw some of these numbers out and again, the eye test, when you watch Archie struggled, I get it. But when you look at some of the numbers, my God, they aren't that bad. Marcel Reed, everybody talks about what a great year he's having at Texas A&M, and he is. But he's got 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. What do they say, Arch had? 12-4? 12-5? It's not that big a difference. Yeah, Nussmeier's numbers don't come up here, but I'm guaranteed they're not better than Marcel Reed's. Michael, I know like Prebula from Minnesota, but Missouri, but he's now 11-7 for 1,600 yards. He could come up big here, though. They got some big games down the stretch, Missouri. If they get themselves to the Big 12 championship game, all bets are off, right? So, interesting stuff to see. I think at Missouri, Hardy, the running back, is the guy to watch out for, though. He's going to run for about 1,500 yards and a bunch of touchdowns. Let's see, what else did I miss here? Let's go to the we talked about the fines. We talked about Texas Tech bans tortilla tossing tradition. The stakes are too high. Seriously? What does that mean? Because the Big Ten threatened to give them a penalty and a personal foul, $1,500 personal foul penalty and a $100,000 fine for every time they throw tortilla chips after a touchdown. So the school now has been forced to kind of, because of this, the school's been forced to ban it. Oh, absolutely. I don't know. I mean, can we have fun? What's wrong with that? Oh, frustrating. Florida AD talks about time as an asset in a search to replace Billy Napier. They got to get it right in Florida, man. Their last few hires have not been good. Since Urban Meyer got fired, they hired Dan Mullen, who flamed out, didn't want to recruit, and Billy Napier, who, again, great success at the Group of 5 level, which is where he's headed back to, but none elsewhere. So I said Florida State gives the non-committal committal to Mike Norvell, as the AD says, we're fully committed to him for the remainder of this year, but we're going to evaluate the entire program at the end of the season. Luke Fickell will be out. Let's see. Let's look at the playoff projections from the Athletic. So they should. Throwing nachos is racist and offensive. I'm offended just by writing this. Oh, God. Chris keeps me laughing all the time. Thank you so much. Oh, God. Here's the power conference's odds of making the playoff. SEC, 84% chance. Georgia, 81. Texas A&M, 80. Ole Miss, even a loss last week, still at 61% chance to make it. Oklahoma and Missouri at 24 and 23. Interesting. In the ACC, Miami's still at 83% as we sit here today, even though they don't control their own fate in the ACC. Georgia Tech at 48, Louisville 26, solidly on a bubble. Right now they've got, by the way, they did project seeds here. So they had Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss all in. Oklahoma and Missouri on the bubble. Ole Miss is, Alabama was a 3 seed. Georgia 6, Texas A&M 7, and Ole Miss 9. Miami would be a 4 seed and get a bye, which is a bit of a reach right now today. But again, we got a lot of games to play. Them and Georgia Tech would both be in. Georgia Tech is an 11 seed. Louisville would be on the bubble. We go to So why aren't you giving me the Big 12 here? Interesting. They didn't give me the Big 12 unless I missed it. Hold on. I don't know why they left the Big 12 out of this. Oh, here it is. Right now, they've only got one team from the Big 12 getting in, and that would be BYU. And then this would be the odds of making a playoff. Tulane 38, South Florida 26, Navy 22. That's your American conference, where I'm pretty sure this group of 5 winner is going to come from. Let them have their tortilla chips with salsa too. That'd be a little messy, but why can't we have fun? They said it was dangerous. To who? I don't know if they thought it was offensive or not. I have no idea. I really don't know the reason why we do a lot of things in some of the sports that we do it in. Good grief, right? Please help me. Oh, let's see. What am I missing? Hughes back in the bottom 10 for ESPN. Bottom 10 being bottom 10 for the week. Just trying to find something else of interest. We got about 10 minutes we can kill here, or we can pull out early. Leave early. Oh, my God. The good news is in a couple of weeks, we'll have the college football standings, which is, by the way, another good reason for me to keep doing this show on Wednesday. As I think about it, as I've talked about potentially moving the show to Tuesdays. The problem is, if I do that, each week we're not going to have the results from the college football playoff pool. Those will come out on Tuesdays. The first one being, I believe, in 2 weeks. And I'll be here for that, the initial release, and then I'll be away on the 11th and the 18th. We'll try to do something at least one of those weeks, an impromptu show, probably on Wednesday or Thursday afternoon, see what's going on as we travel. But we'll find some time to do that. Just to give you a vacation update, we'll be gone from the 7th to the 23rd, but I plan on doing the Sunday stream of consciousness on every Sunday except maybe the 23rd. I'm traveling the 23rd, so I'm not sure if we'll be able to get that show in or not. We'll do the best we can. I'm home by 1:30, so we could do something in the afternoon. So we could have a late show that day as we watch some NFL together, maybe on that Sunday. We'll see how that goes. MLB update will not do while I'm gone. Mac and Jack. Sorry, Mac. The Jack and Keith weekend playbook. Jack and I are going to put some shows in the can. We'll do a show live taped for the 7th, and we're going to tape some shows for the 2 Mondays and Fridays that I'm missing. What's that leave? The show will, as I said, we'll probably find a way to do it each week, probably on the fly. Wednesday is a good day. I've always figured that, John. I don't, I do the unprofessional professional sports show before this anyway. And it gives me all day. It gives me 2 days free. Monday after we do the show with Jack, and Tuesday, all day Tuesday, and really all day Wednesday until we do the show, which is good because I need some free time as I'm retired and I got a lot to do. So, in any event, that's about it. I think we're going to wrap it up today because I don't have much else to say. It's not as big a weekend for college football coming up, but they're all big. I mean, they're still big games. I talked about all the games that could potentially have playoff implications. South Florida, Memphis, bigger game than you think. Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Missouri, Vanderbilt, BYU. That's doubtful. Texas, Mississippi State could have playoff implications. Michigan could. Texas A&M, LSU, definitely. So, and certainly any of the teams that lost last week and trying to stay alive, Miami can't afford another loss, for instance. Not going to lose to Stanford. So I think in any event, we'll wrap it up a little bit early. I'll give me a chance to take a little quick break before I jump on with Robert Butler. By the way, I'll be on with Robert here on Sports Scope. Check that out from 8:30 here till 9 o'clock. Or so, and maybe I'll jump on a minute earlier too with him. So you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll see you Friday morning with Jack and Keith's weekend playbook at 8 a.m. Eastern, and I'll see him at 3, and we'll talk about the World Series coming up with Baltimore. If Baltimore wishes they were in the World Series with the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. So we'll see you then. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks College Football Huddle. Bye-bye.